No, without people like Isabel, Hannah, Jack Johnson, so many others that have contributed, Red Hot Chili Peppers, so many of people have contributed and groups have contributed to this film. Maybe the best direction to go at the moment is to find out from Dave. This man right here led us into his life for the last 5 years and led us into a lot of fairly intimate places and let himself kind of be shown in so many different ways. And he's still sitting here next to me. Number one, I thank him for flying over from Australia 2 days ago to make sure he made it his career.
Well, I guess, you know, one of the greatest aspects of this whole journey has been the sense of community that has come into my life, which, kind of interestingly enough, before doing this work, you know, most people would say that I've pretty much got the most amazing job in the world, that I get paid to just hang out, surf and go to the beach and have a great time. And that's all wonderful, but there was a really deep, I think, void in my life that I didn't have a really strong sense of community and purpose. And so I was thinking back then, before I started with this sort of work, I was just thinking how interesting that is that, you know, in the eyes of our modern society, I have all these physical things, all these ideas of success have been ticked and I'm you know, on a great path, but it still doesn't add up and it still doesn't like complete this feeling inside me. And then we started moving with this work and all these people here started coming into my life were incredibly talented and passionate people, and then the circle got a bit bigger, and then it got a few thousand people bigger, and then it crossed countries, and now there is this immense feeling of community which is so commonly lacking in every country in this modern era. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that, you know, like Hannah was touching on how when you give to this kind of work, you get it back, you know, 10,000-fold. It's so true. You know, for me, the sense of belonging and community is so vast now, and that's amazing. I have people in my life here that I would do anything for, and it feels the same way from them to me, and that's amazing, and that's incredible, because life goes up and down, and you have this constant there, knowing that you have the love and connection with everybody. So that's something for me personally that I always try to communicate with people, because it is a really amazing thing to have received from this, which was not at all in my mind at the beginning. I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to do this work so I can belong to a family of people. It just naturally evolved that way. And then also just on a more tangible level, getting to look at where these issues are at now. You know, after we were there in Taiji a couple of years ago, and word really got out in a broad sense through a lot of mainstream media programs and news reports, BBC and all, various other programming around the world. Since then, there's been people via Sea Shepherd and just people on their own wicket going to Taiji and being kind of like watch guards, being there watching the fishermen, monitoring what's going on, putting pressure on them, letting them know that what's happening there is not going unnoticed anymore. And that's something really tangible that's come out of all of this, and is really wonderful. And a lot of what was going on there isn't going on to that same degree now. Of course, the tsunami and earthquake issues there have changed everything. So it's all up in the air right now as to coastal whaling in Japan, what's going to happen from here on out. But it is a great feeling to just feel as though, you know, an abstract bunch of people like us with kind of left field skills have managed to channel that into doing something that has created some progress on these issues. I don't know if there's any questions from anyone in the audience. Yep. Yeah, actually, Hayden's been back. She went back, I think it was last year, and participated in a very peaceful gathering in Taiji, and she wasn't arrested. She came with a lot of attention on the cove there, and it went very smoothly. As far as going back to Japan, I think I'd like to, but I still am not sure of how I'd be received. There was very interesting things occurred after we left. Every surf shop along the coastline was visited by very, very dark characters and threatening anybody who had any involvement with us. That they would burn down their shops if they were working with us. Everything had to be pulled from all the shops, including just surfing posters and DVDs and whatnot. And so there's a lot of intimidation. So I've heard from friends who live there that that's not the case. The magazines have started running surfing images of me again, and it's relaxed a little. But I want to have some really strong reasons for going there, and I think one of those reasons would be that if this these whaling operations, which are subsidised by the government, if this is going to be continued to be subsidised by them, I think I would like to return, because that to me is a crime against humanity, to be spending people's money, taxpayers' money, on something like this instead of rebuilding their country after such devastation there this year. And so that would definitely motivate me to go back. But as you saw with the project, it initially began focusing on the dolphin whale kills in Japan because there's a really large surfing community there, and my power, I felt, was within that surfing community. They love the fashion of the cool hippie surfer or whatever, and I wanted to test that and see if that was actually true, if they were committed to the actual ideals of what it means to be someone who is in love with the ocean, you know, someone who is daily in the water and with reverence being amongst that environment. And when we got there, we found out that, yeah, people do really feel for their environment and care, but there's other threats and intimidations that have suppressed them from acting. So I would like to go back there and get involved with the people there, but these projects going from just that issue have spread out vastly, which leads me to, in a month's time, we're doing a transparency right here in California. And so we're spreading out our operations. Yeah, so what you saw in Australia is a formula that I'd like to duplicate around the world. And wherever there are surfing communities and migrations of great animals occurring, we want to go to these places and do these long journeys which see us daily actually shaking their hands and meeting the people who live in these areas and sharing how much fun this is to do this stuff, you know, that you can really have a ball when you do this work. And so October 1st, we're starting in Santa Barbara. There will be 5 of us going from Santa Barbara down to the border. We're going to skip that funky area of Mexico where all the bad stuff happens. I think it's about 100 miles or so. And we're going to go down and then continue the journey down to the Seven Sisters region where there's grey whale nursery zones. So come October 1st, if anybody is anywhere between Santa Barbara and San Diego, we're going to be going down in the same kayaks that you saw there. We're going to be coming down the coast. Every night we come in, there's a group of people who are in the film who are musicians who are coming, and every night we're going to play music, we're going to clean the beaches. We're going to clean beaches and work with local NGOs. So each section of this coast, our intention is to spotlight a group that is working in your local area that might need a little attention, that might need some volunteers, which we could help with. And would also need perhaps some funding, which we will have music nights where we will show this film, have a great big jam, have art and surfboards for sale, which will generate funds for your local groups who are doing wonderful work. So anyone who wants to come along, please I guess know that it's inclusive. There's nothing exclusive about this. We want to interact with as many people as we can and have a good rocking time while we do so. There's one more question over here.
Where are you going to be stopping off at?
Okay, so we average about 10 miles to 20 miles a day. So we're starting in Santa Barbara and we're pretty much stopping everywhere as we go down the coast. If we get a particularly good windy day, we make the most of that and we might skip a couple spots. But in general, you could imagine that from Santa Barbara to the border, every 10 miles we'll be working with people. So transparencyvoyage.com is the site, and of course the s4cglobal.org site, you can check us out as well, but that's where you can monitor our journey.